Hello, and welcome to the Skype Operations Framework training, where today we'll be covering Skype Meeting Broadcast. My name is Matt Wade. I am a Senior Customer Engineering Architect based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm a member of the Skype Customer Engineering and Deployment team. Our team is part of the Skype for Business product group with the goal of enhancing the customer and partner experience by capturing feedback in order to influence product direction while enabling organizations of any size to get to our cloud service by providing best-in-class readiness and deployment services. To obtain more information about Skype Operations Framework, please visit skypeoperationsframework.com. SOF is a living framework, and we strive to innovate and update the assets and deliver new offerings on a constant basis. Your feedback drives the updates to SOF. Please use our feedback channels listed here to share your thoughts and ideas. We also have the SOF community as part of developing the multifaceted approach to SOF. We would love to hear from you on how you are applying SOF to your projects and share your lessons learned from the field. This is the April 2017 version of this training. Due to the ever-changing nature of Skype for Business Online and SOF, I would like to point out that things may have changed upon watching this training. For the most recent versions of training content, please visit skypeoperationsframework.com/academy. Let's get started now with the SOF training on Skype Meeting Broadcast. What are the learning objectives for this training? First, we are going to review the SOF assets that we have modified for Skype Meeting Broadcast. Second, we will discuss how to properly plan for the Skype Meeting Broadcast service. And finally, we will finish up with some best practices on delivering a Skype Meeting Broadcast event. Skype Meeting Broadcast events have the potential to reach thousands of employees around the world simultaneously. Imagine for a minute you are charged with hosting a large event where your CEO delivers the quarterly earnings to the company and investors around the world. The CEO takes the stage, getting ready to deliver his speech, starts talking, and then the unthinkable happens. The sound doesn't work. While this is a worst case scenario, it singles out a specific type of event that sets the stage for scope and scale of what Skype Meeting Broadcast can deliver. With the guidance provided by Skype Operations, we have you covered. With a little bit of pre-planning and a solid understanding of the organizational technical requirements, you can ensure that the event team is prepared to handle all types of Skype Meeting Broadcast events. Assuming that because the team is familiar with Skype for Business does not guarantee that a successful Skype Meeting Broadcast event is a foregone conclusion. We all know how one bad presenter in a team meeting can degrade the entire experience for the rest of the attendees. Just imagine that scenario scaled up to thousands of attendees where one ill-prepared presenter or bad device can make or break the experience. Practice and planning can make all the difference, and the SOF guidance can help ensure a successful event the first time, every time. To make the most of this training, it is important to have a solid understanding of the SOF phases, activities, and assets. Watching the Skype Academy technical readiness content ahead of this training will also help further deepen your understanding of the content to be presented in this training. Here's a list of the SOF assets that have been updated for Skype Meeting Broadcast. The assets that are in bold will be the focus of this training session. While the other assets listed have been modified, the content update was minimal. Where helpful, each PowerPoint slide comes with thorough speaker notes to help shape and enhance the conversation with the project team. We're going to start with the Envisioning Architecture workshop that is part of the plan phase. The slides you see here are duplicate content provided in SOF assets. This is typically the first workshop where the entire project team is together for the first time, so we will spend some time here setting the foundation. As I walk through each slide, the tone will be train the trainer. I won't be covering the content detail, but rather providing a broad outline on how to deliver the content to the project team audience. This slide is introduced in both the Envisioning Kickoff and Architecture workshops. As the project team members may vary, use your discretion on when and where to talk about it. It is noted as optional in the Architecture workshop and is designed for team members that have no experience with Skype Meeting Broadcast. Here we are introducing the project team to the Skype Meeting Broadcast service and its features. Take a moment to talk about each bullet point with the customer and note their interest in each one. Speaker notes are available to help shape the conversation. Make sure to point out the project team that these should not be considered interactive meetings, but rather town hall style events where content is streamed to an audience of up to 10,000 attendees. An attendee can be considered as one person or a single conference room where multiple people are watching the event. A better way to technically describe a Skype meeting broadcast attendee would be as a concurrent endpoint. Expanding on this example, it is safe to say that the project team at Skype meeting broadcast will support up to 10,000 concurrent endpoints. This slide is very similar to the previous one as it is introduced during the Envisioning Architecture workshop. With the previous slide being optional and the project team attendees varying during the kickoff and architecture workshops, this slide can be skipped if necessary. Like in the previous slide, what we want to focus on here is that this is a streamed town hall style event and can be delivered up to 10,000 attendees or concurrent endpoints. Make sure to illustrate that the meeting content can be consumed on any browser on any supported operating system without the need for plugins or downloads and has a familiar Skype-like interface for easy adoption and consumption. This slide is focused on addressing the key feature differences between Skype for Business and Skype Meeting Broadcast. Walk through each line item with the project team so they fully understand the difference in capabilities between Skype for Business and Skype Meeting Broadcast. More information and references are provided in the speaker notes to help with the discussion. Here is where we introduce the project team to the Skype Meeting Broadcast roles. There are a couple of few points we want to make sure to discuss with the project team. As far as the client is concerned, you are either an attendee or part of the event team. Therefore, we often refer to these as soft roles as there's no setting in the service or client that will assign a role. These roles are assigned for each event by the organizer. The event team members join the meeting using the Skype for Business client and are leveraging the Skype for Business online service. You will often hear this event team meeting referred to as the inner meeting. Since the event team in a Skype for Business online meeting, there can be up to 250 team members as dictated by the conferencing policy. The primary message the project team needs to take away from this slide is identity. The event team members must have an identity in the cloud, either through synchronization with an on-premise Active Directory or having an identity in Azure AD. If the users are homed on premises, hybrid must be enabled if you wish to host a closed all-company meeting. Without knowledge of the attendee's identity, the service will be unable to authenticate the attendee. For infrastructure environments, users of the service can be homed either in Skype for Business Online or on premises with hybrid configured. An active attendant in O365 is required with one of the following licenses. Speaker notes are available here as well to help support your discussion. As we move the discussion to the Skype Meeting Broadcast Network considerations, this is the first opportunity to explain the Enterprise Content Delivery Network to the project team. It may be worth adding some clarity here that this is not to be confused with the Azure Content Delivery Network, which is part of the Microsoft stack. An enterprise content delivery network can help protect the enterprise network from being overwhelmed by the increased media traffic when thousands of employees are watching the Skype meeting broadcast event simultaneously. We want to emphasize that this is a partner-delivered solution that can help an organization with managing the bandwidth requirements to support Skype meeting broadcast events. This works by leveraging either software or hardware in the enterprise network to receive the Skype meeting broadcast content and then stream it to the attendees. This effectively reduces the bandwidth required at the internet egress point, as instead of streaming to thousands of potential endpoints, only one endpoint is connected. The purpose of this slide is not to discuss the solution in great detail, but rather to introduce the customer to the Enterprise Content Delivery Network's core capabilities and, if necessary, introduce and let the partner talk about their own solution to the project team. So what are our key takeaways here? The first takeaway is to understand how to introduce and discuss the Skype meeting broadcast services to the project team and in order to determine if this will be included in the project scope. This information will have an impact on the network readiness workshops later in the project. You also want to make sure you understand the identity requirements of Skype meeting broadcast services. All event team members need to have a cloud identity. Finally, have a firm understanding of the enterprise content delivery networks and how this is different than the Azure Content Delivery Network. You may have to introduce the project team to the respective partners so they can set up time to introduce their solution to the customer. This often may require introducing a new vendor. Next, we'll move on to the Cloud and Device Readiness Workshop. Supported clients. While Skype Meeting Broadcast can be consumed on any supported browser, there are client edition and version requirements for members of the event team, specifically for the producer role. The producer controls are automatically displayed when members of the event team join the inner meeting using the Skype for Business client. A presenter can leverage any supported link or Skype for Business client either on the PC, Mac, or mobile device, as producer controls are not required for their role. For attendees, Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Safari browsers will require Adobe Flash. Having the right hardware can be key to providing a quality experience. There are a few devices available that will allow you to capture video or audio input from professional grade hardware and direct that into the Skype for Business client via a USB interface. Using these devices will allow you to leverage the Skype for Business device settings to easily switch between media sources and provide a quality user experience. Having a couple of these devices on hand during events will help alleviate any issues with compatibility between the camera or microphone and the client. At the time of this training, Skype Meeting Broadcast currently does not support desktop sharing. It is important to have a plan in place to share out the screen for demos if required. By leveraging one of these HDMI capture devices, you can project your screen to the device and then redirect that output into the client as a video source. Make sure the project team acquires a few of these devices for the organization and that the event team is familiar with how these devices operate. Desktop sharing via video-based screen sharing, or VBSS, will be available later in 2017. So what are our key takeaways? Know what the supported clients are respective to the producer, presenter, and attendee roles. Only the producer role has a specific limitation on client addition and version. Know what options are available for supporting audio, video, and screen sharing in your broadcast event. Make sure to acquire these devices ahead of time to allow the event team to practice and become familiar with them before the main event. Remember, desktop sharing is not yet supported in Skype Meeting Broadcast events. Now we'll move on to network readiness. When we discuss bandwidth or network requirements with the project team, one of the most important aspects is to understand that Skype for Business and Skype Meeting Broadcast attendees are not the same. Specifically, Skype for Business is an interactive meeting, where Skype Meeting Broadcast is a continuous stream with little to no interactivity by the attendee. This results in a network profile that is different than Skype for Business. Bandwidth requirements for the inner meeting use guidance for Skype for Business and are fully dependent upon the number of participants in the event team and what modalities are being presented during the event. Attendees will connect directly to the Azure Content Delivery Network. The codec used is highly adaptive and automatically adjusts resolution and frame rates based upon the available bandwidth. Delay and latency are less impactful here as all traffic is TCP based. Since the event is broadcast with DVR-like functionality, the attendees can easily pause or rewind if something is missed or network anomalies occur. Like Skype for Business Online, there are specific IP address ranges and FQDNs that must be accounted for by the project team to allow the internal clients to connect to the meeting. This information is available in the speaker notes to assist in the workshop delivery. When we discuss bandwidth utilization for Skype Meeting Broadcast, it is important for the project team to understand two key points. One, that each attendee or endpoint is a unique stream, and two, the codec will automatically adjust resolution of frame rate depending on available bandwidth. Bandwidth usage patterns are similar to Skype for Business and will vary during the meeting based upon the content being displayed. In order to calculate bandwidth usage, we need to multiply the number of endpoints by the average bandwidth rates. The average rates were extrapolated based upon real-world testing by Microsoft during Skype Meeting Broadcast events. There are 4 resolutions that can be used in the calculation process. It is recommended to begin the exercise with the average bit rate of 1447 kilobits per second for your calculations, as this will provide the average bandwidth usage under ideal conditions. If the organization has multiple locations around the world, each with their own internet egress point, a separate calculation is necessary to accurately assess bandwidth utilization. If required, separate calculations can also be completed for the enterprise network. This exercise is useful if you have a single internet egress point supporting multiple sites and you want to better estimate how network bandwidth could be affected across the enterprise network. This is going to be a manual exercise as the Skype for Business bandwidth calculator tool does not support Skype Meeting Broadcast. The good news is that even if the calculated values are high and cause for concern, a solution does exist. This is where we move the conversation to the Enterprise Content Delivery Network. This slide is reintroduced into the Network Readiness Workshop to account for a different project team audience. This slide can be skipped if necessary, as it repeats often throughout the envisioning phase. Please reference the Envisioning Architecture Workshop discussion earlier in this training on how to discuss this content. If the project team audience is different than the Envisioning Architecture Workshop, take the time to introduce the new participants to the Enterprise Content Delivery Network solutions and determine if there is enough interest to involve the respective partners. Considering that you have to just completed the network bandwidth calculations, it may be worth the effort to repeat this content. So what are our key takeaways here? Understanding the network and bandwidth requirements for Skype meeting broadcasts is vital to the overall success of the project. The content that is delivered to the attendee is a continuous stream over TCP, and Skype for Business attendees are not the same as the Skype meeting broadcast attendee. Since the Skype for Business network bandwidth calculator tool does not support Skype meeting broadcast calculations, knowing how to accurately estimate network impact will be vital to ensuring adequate bandwidth is available to provide a quality user experience. When bandwidth constraints are identified or of enough of a concern, it may be necessary to deploy an enterprise content delivery network. Introducing a new vendor into a project already underway can introduce risk and delay. The earlier this process can begin, the better. Moving on to adoption, campaign, launch event planning. While this content will be initially delivered to the project team, it is also very useful and recommended to be part of the adoption and training for those users that are going to be responsible for Skype meeting broadcast event. Proper planning will be key to delivering a successful event. All the technical preparation aside, there is no substitute for pre-planning when it comes to delivering a Skype meeting broadcast event, especially to the entire organization. There is little if no room for failure here. There is a lot of useful information in this slide to help the event team conduct a successful Skype meeting broadcast event. Walk through each item carefully and leverage the speaker notes for talking points for help. The key teaching points here are: 1. Conduct a dry run. Do not wait until the day of the event to test the devices, as it rarely works out. 2. Use a custom URL for meeting invitations in case you have to recreate the meeting due to a glitch or problem. And 3. Practice. Practicing ahead of time will help ensure everything and everyone is ready for the main event. Nothing is more important than having the presenter sound crisp and clear. This should be considered mission critical to a successful meeting and can make or break the event. While this may sound like a simple task, considering the type of events that Skype Meeting Broadcast Service can and does support, it's worth taking the time to walk through this information with the team. Use the speaker notes as necessary to help augment your conversation. The key teaching points here are: 1. Know how to disable client noise suppression. Having the speaker audio cut out mid-sentence due to an applause would not be well received by the audience. And 2. Avoid using handheld mics when necessary, as presenters don't often know what to do with them and the audio will suffer. When it comes to video, good hardware and good lighting is key. A quality webcam or professional camera can make for a well-received video broadcast. Ensure the team is aware of what goes into planning for video in a Skype meeting broadcast event. While most users know how to enable video for Skype for Business meeting, it can be a different story when they have to manage multiple video contents for a large event. The key teaching points here are: good lighting is key. Use 3 lights when possible to help make and give depth to the presenter. And 2, test everything in advance to make sure the client is compatible with your video devices. So what are our key takeaways here? Conduct at least one dry run. Do it more than once if time allows to work out any hiccups or gotchas with equipment, software, or presenters. Use a custom URL in case you have to recreate the meeting on the fly. Updating a custom URL is a lot easier than resending thousands of invites. Know how to disable the noise suppression. We don't want the client's built-in noise suppression capabilities to interfere with the speaker's audio feed. Good lighting is going to be key to producing a quality video. Follow the guidelines on lighting your subject with 3 lights. Test everything in advance. Don't wait until the day of to check to see if devices are compatible or produce the quality you expect. This rarely works out. This reinforces the need for dry runs. And finally, practice your event. I cannot say this enough. If there's one thing we've learned is that there is no substitute for practice. So in summary, we've covered all the SOF assets that were updated for Skype Meeting Broadcast. We reviewed key updates within these assets and how to deliver them to the project team. We covered how to properly plan for the Skype Meeting Broadcast service. We discussed how to help deliver the architecture, client, device, and network readiness workshops to the project team. Understanding of the Skype Meeting Broadcast network requirements, the attendee differences between Skype for Business and Skype Meeting Broadcast, as well as the enterprise content delivery network and how it can help overcome network bandwidth limitations is going to be key. And finally, we covered the adoption campaign readiness content, which relays some best practices for delivering a Skype Meeting Broadcast event. Using this content, we can provide better awareness for the project and event teams when it comes to planning and delivering a Skype Meeting Broadcast event. Emphasize practice and dry runs. This is going to be key for discovering issues ahead of time. To wrap up the training, here are some additional SOF resources that you can leverage for additional training and guidance. I hope you found this training useful and informative. Thank you.